lot of the time in this world we doubt how powerful talking is. Getting the script that's in your head out into the world allows other people to give you their perspective, it allows you to dilute your opinions a bit, specifically the negative opinions, and it just gives you a bigger picture. It allows you to be more loving, more understanding, more open. You've consumed so much media that has made you demonize your desires and your love of people. We live in a society that continues to perpetuate these very toxic representations of queer people. Hello beautiful people, I'm Alessia. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Young Alessia would be so proud of where I am now. The fact that I'm talking online about my sexuality, about not being straight, that would kind of blow young me's mind, because I did keep this all bottled in for a very long time. So if you want to be in a position where you can liberally talk about being a woman that is interested in other women, or whatever situation you're in, if you want to talk about your queerness with other people, and at the moment you're finding you're kind of hitting a barrier and you're feeling a bit ashamed and a bit icky and a bit uncomfortable, this is the video for you. Also, if you want to just feel more confident and more self-loving in regards to your sexuality, then this is also the video for you. You might feel embarrassed to talk about your girl crushes with your friends. You might feel embarrassed to talk about your queerness. You might actually not have even come out to your friends. Whatever situation you're in, I get it. I've been at all of those stages. I'm attracted to people. And even though I think that's absolutely stunning, that I'm an open book to love, I also realise that there can be a lot of discomfort with owning that in front of your friends. I have been in many situations where I've been really nervous to tell my friends, even though they're super supportive and I knew I'd be met with positive feedback. I was nervous because I didn't want to make them uncomfortable. I didn't want to embarrass them. I didn't want them to think that I was ever interested in them, and that's a common thing, and that is something I quickly want to say now. Just because you're bisexual doesn't mean you suddenly like every single woman. That is not a thing. It just means that you have the capacity to fall in love or to be attracted to a woman, but it doesn't mean that you're attracted to every woman. I do think when you identify as not being straight, in whatever label you choose, you then kind of, without wanting to, take on society's unfair judgments. So many of the films that I watched growing up represented queer people in a really unfair light, in a creepy light. They often were represented as dangerous, mentally ill, predators, violent, and often their story would end on a really negative note. They wouldn't instill much hope in you. Films like Call Me By Your Name centres around an older guy that seduces a young boy. It's a bit of a problematic dynamic. Even Saltburn, a film that's really popular right now, spoiler alert by the way, it's really popular right now, everyone's loving it. It centres around an LGBTQ character, Oliver, who ends up being a really dangerous predator. Hollywood really does display these really toxic representations of queer characters, and people learn from the films they watch. I say this all the time, and I think a lot of people doubt that fact. They think, oh, well, I can rise above it, and oh, it's just a film. But it's not. Your subconscious is always listening, taking in the information, taking in the messages. The labels and the criticisms that we see on TV, in film, they kind of then live on in the treatment of queer people, because they instill these ideas in people. They affect culture. You know, film and television really does affect culture, and culture affects people. As a Vanity Fair article perfectly sums it up, most LGBTQ movie characters are marginalised, invisible, or punchlines. A lot of my friends will say to me, and people who just comment on my YouTube channel, I'm really worried my friends are going to think I'm coming on to them. I don't want to come across as this predator person that really like fancies them. And it's not because they're behaving in a certain way that's, you know, hinting that they fancy them. It's just because of the mere fact that they aren't straight. And I really get how you worry about that and how people get there, because we are massively influenced by what we watch and what we consume in the media. And the media is not kind to queer people. So I really get that worry. But I do think sometimes you just have to be prepared for people to misunderstand you, rather than holding back yourself and your truth. I would much rather just be like, this is me, and I want to talk about it because it's good for my mental health and good for my quality of life. And if it's going to make you uncomfortable, I I would rather risk losing you than risk losing my sense of self. I say this again all the time on my channel. It's so painful to not be yourself. It really hurts to hold back your opinions and to not dress in the way you want to dress and to not talk about your celebrity crushes, your real celebrity crushes, with your friends when they're all discussing their crushes. I don't want you to lose hope, because there are films and books and media that you can consume that are friendly, that do represent queer people in a nice light, in a positive light, in a nuanced light. And I'm gonna leave in the description box below a list of films and books that you can read that will be healthy to consume. And this list is specifically going to be for queer women, because I have noticed Hollywood do tend to focus on showcasing, if they are going to showcase a queer relationship, it's usually a white, cisgendered, able-bodied male relationship. When's the last time you saw a woman-loving woman relationship being represented in a Hollywood film? So you might feel the need to hold back your desire for women or whoever. You might feel weird and icky about that because you've consumed so much media that has made you demonize your desires and your love of people. How sad is that? That is not your fault, but how sad that we live in a society that continues to perpetuate these very toxic representations of queer people that then mean that queer people have to hide and doubt themselves, and even when in the presence of somebody who they really trust, bottle things up. You can and you should address the homophobic rhetoric that you've absorbed over the years. You need to think queer equals beautiful, not ugly, not predator, not weird. You need to kind of get away from these ugly representations. When you're next in a situation where you could talk about your feelings and desires and your sexuality, but you feel panicked that you're going to creep people out, panicked that your friends are not going to get it, I've got an affirmation for you to use. My feelings and desires are beautiful and valid. My feelings and desires are beautiful and valid. And my God, are they? I really want you to know that. It's so beautiful to love. Now, another thing I want to say is you don't need to be perfect at this. You don't need to have a label. You don't need to 100% know yourself and know exactly what you want in order to proudly speak about your sexuality and what's going on for you at the moment. Your truth now might not be your truth in the future, but that's okay. It's still your truth now. If right now you are into girls and you identify as bisexual, that is your truth right now. And it's okay if that changes. For me, that has changed. I feel like I identify more with the label pansexual, and I don't feel any shame for changing, and I wouldn't even say that I have been confused. I would just say that I've been exploring and learning more about myself. And a big part of that journey has been talking to my friends and being open and kind of just pushing myself to, with the right people, share my desires, share what's been going on for all this time behind closed doors. Sharing is a big part of understanding, having those open discussions with your friends. When everything's in your head, it's so much easier to go off on tangents and be quite self-critical and to not really get the point. But when we say things out loud, it's just so much clearer, isn't it? Even if we write things down, even if you don't have a friendship group to go to or a friend to open up to, write things down, be your own friend. Just saying it out loud to someone you trust or to a bit of paper can help you feel so much more in the know. I know for me, for a long time, I wasn't that sure. I knew I had these feelings and I knew sometimes I wanted to act upon them and sometimes I did in little ways, but it never felt like something I could fully feel proud of until I was open with people about it. I think a lot of the time in this world we doubt how powerful talking is. You know, that's why therapy is so beautiful. Getting the script that's in your head out into the world allows other people to give you their perspective. It allows you to dilute your opinions a bit, specifically the negative opinions, and it just gives you a bigger picture. It allows you to be more loving, more understanding, more open, and to develop and move on in life. So yeah, I just wanted to say to you, you don't need to 100% know where you are in life and what you identify as, and you don't need to have it 100% right. There is no such thing as having it right anyway. What is right is just what you're feeling right now. That's the only truth that we have. As humans, we are ever evolving. We are taking new shapes and we are changing and we're developing, and that's the beauty with life. So in the past, I remember coming out to quite a few of the people in my life, my family, my friends, and for me it felt like a big moment and it felt scary, and it felt like I was the first to do it because, well, nobody around me was openly queer. And you can set the tone, you can encourage other people to come out. Sometimes your bravery then facilitates other people's bravery, and it can become this very beautiful thing and have this really beautiful ripple effect where people feel that they can be open. It's sometimes worthwhile challenging yourself, even if it feels a bit uncomfortable, as long as you know that you're in good hands and you're with people that you trust. I think it's so worth sharing your girl crushes, sharing your queer stories, sharing your identity. Not only will that empower you, but that will empower them. Sometimes when we are bold in our sexuality, in our queerness, in our identity, then we let other people do the same. I completely get when people hide their queerness. I completely understand why I've done that for such a long period of time. Part of it is also because I just didn't really have the language or the know-how to understand my feelings and understand that it was okay and understand that it was a big part of me. So I understand all of that. It's very complicated and it's not an easy process. But I just want to say, if you do feel like you want to share and you do feel like you want to talk about this stuff, but you're worried that someone's not going to get it, someone's going to misunderstand you, someone's going to criticize you, then I want you to know that it's not a reflection of you, but a reflection of them. Them choosing, because it is a choice, them choosing to misunderstand you and act on that and not be loving still, because sometimes we can misunderstand people but still be loving. We don't need to understand someone's situation in order to want them to live a good life and be happy. But if someone's choosing to misunderstand you and not give you the space to be yourself and not love you, then I don't want you to think, oh, they must be right, I must not know myself, I need to retract, I need to hide this part of myself. No. It's just their homophobia. You know yourself better than anyone. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please subscribe and comment down below and share your feelings and thoughts with me. I love talking to you in the comment section and I love seeing you talk to each other. I do self-love and decentering men coaching, so if you're interested, I'll put my details in the description. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day.